I guess on my hair, she look all right. And with that actually sitting there like this creams, and I had to have them, sis. All 5 of them. Here, I just had, we're gonna discontinue it, but I had to pick up their book of shadows, honey. Color grade makes cheap fan, expensive breeze, good times. Wow, so serious. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Torrence here, and in today's tutorial, I am bringing back an old favorite. I am finally happy to be bringing you all back an old favorite. I've been doing YouTube for quite a few years now, and a lot of my absolute favorite palettes are products that are either discontinued or limited edition. This one fit both categories. But when they brought it back, I told everybody, you don't have to worry about it. I will be picking it up. I will do a tutorial for it. And that will be the gorgeous Gemini palette. She's stunning. I love her. And baby, when she first launched in 2018, you didn't have to tell me nothing about it. Once I saw this color story, I knew I had to have her. But baby, once again, that's from 2018. So I don't use her too often. I keep her more for sentimental reasons. But when they said, you can go ahead and get her, we're going to relaunch her in Ulta and on our website, how was you going to keep me off of her? So I'm bringing you all this tutorial. Technically, this is a first impressions with this palette. And baby, you know, anytime I'm wearing green, I am feeling myself. So if you want to know how to pull off this tutorial, all you got to do is wait till after these swatches. But make sure you stay tuned to the end because I have some opinions on this palette. Because baby, they upgraded more than just the packaging. And if you want to know my full honest opinion, stay tuned. First off, let's get into this gorgeous packaging, honey. They have updated it and it now is covered in roses that have a gold outlining. And I think this is absolutely gorgeous. The original was all black and I still have that one. Once inside, we have 10 beautiful shades. There are 8 mattes and 2 metallics. This palette does contain a mirror, but I'm trying my best not to blind you with it. Sis, get into this. Tell me these colors are not absolutely stunning. Swatch one time with the finger over no primer. Dry arm, dry finger. Baby, get into this color story. It's colors and shades like this that has had me in love with Melt since day one. I have collected every single powder, stack, and palette they've released. Well, maybe not those 4 new Zodiac ones because I'm broke, but we're going to hope for those for Christmas. But baby, get into these 10 colors here. But baby, I'm going to sit here looking at this all day and I got to hurry up and get into this tutorial. So with no further ado, honey, let's grab our brushes and get started. Alright, you guys, let's go ahead and get started. Before we get into the makeup, I want to remind you all tools and products used will always be in the description bar below. So check out there if I ever forget to mention anything. Is there anything else? Oh, we only got 2 videos left for my Use It or Lose It for the month of November. I'll leave that video right here explaining everything. And I'm like, Torrence, since you only got 2 videos left, you can either do both the Melt palettes or only 2 of the 3 Juvia's Place palettes. And I'm like, since we just did Juvia's Place in the last tutorial, we're going to skip that and we're going to get the Geminis going. So baby, first up, Gemini. She is the original. She is the queen, baby. And when I tell you, this palette here shut the internet down. And for good reason. Look at her. I tell y'all all the time, greens are my absolute favorites. Behind that are neutrals, and because I love dark neutrals, black is my favorite color. I love it, of all neutrals. But I'm like, baby, we just did neutral last time. Y'all see the green shirt, ain't no point of playing. So it's like, okay, how dramatic do we want to be, Torrence? No point of asking, you already know what it is. So since lids are prepped, we just gonna start lightest to darkest. And we're going to take our largest, fluffiest blending brush in this shade here, Mochi, and we're going to use that as a transition throughout our entire crease. And honey, I already know, even though this is a new packaging, This need to be tapped off, honey. She gonna come with the pigmentation, but we're gonna start on the outer end, lower crease, and build her up. And y'all, oh, you see, before I could even get the blend going right, you can already see that green, and it's supposed to be transition, honey. But I want to make sure I buff this up and out because I want this to be as high in the crease as I can possibly get it. Once again, we want to start low, and once you're comfortable, baby, that braid, I'm gonna have to start leaving me a clip in here to keep that braid out the way. We want to buff this up and out because we want the color to be as soft as possible because we don't like harsh edges. And I know for a fact that I'm going to go in with a second layer because I want my pigmentation, but I'll be worried more about my blend than layering because ain't no point of coming in with more color later on if this first layer is patchy, because it's just going to make it even harder to diffuse things. And look at her. I'm telling y'all, you can't go wrong with a good green to me. Greens are my favorites, and I know everybody doesn't like them. There's a lot of people who actively avoid them, but this was probably the very, very first eyeshadow palette I fell in love with that had a true green tone to it. You always had those neutral palettes that had a pop of green, or just like one matte green, one shimmery green. When Melt came out with this, and it was an entire palette where half was neutral, half was green, it was like, oh my goodness, I could wear the first half to the office in the morning, and then that second half to the club at night, because to me, greens are professional, greens are neutral, greens are for the everyday, and look at how strong and how beautifully that built up. Like, come on, sis. And honey, I can't be the green goblin without a green crease, so I need to deepen things up. That's why we're gonna take a smaller blending brush, this shade here, Fire OG, and deepen things up in the crease, honey. I wanna take this all the way throughout the crease, but we wanna keep it low because I still wanna deepen things up a little bit more later on. And the same as before, tapping off our brush, we can always come back in, and we're gonna keep this real low. Actually, first, I wanna pack this onto the outer V. I want y'all to see what this hue looks like by itself. Like, look at that color right there compared to the transition shade. She's gorgeous. And I want to build her up as pigmented as I can with this one brush. I'm just rotating the brush to get color off all sides to make sure the outer V is the darkest part of the eye. Then, once my brush is clear of product, I'm going to take and build this up into the crease. Keeping my brush low down first, just to make sure all product is in the lowest part where I want it to be dark. And once I'm convinced that there isn't too much product left on my brush, I can slightly raise it up while still holding it in the crease, just to diffuse that harsh line. And you may not get the full pigmentation on this first layer because we did put most product on the outer V, but we can always go back in and build that up. And you can see that one color already has given us some shape and definition, because baby, my hooded eyes be trying to act like it ain't no crease in there. Blah, nah, baby, you might be hiding, but we're gonna get you out of there. And so I'm gonna dip my brush again, I'm rotating it, tapping off excess, and the same thing, I wanna make sure my outer V is always the darkest. So I'm gonna pack that on, rotating my brush, get all product off all sides, and then we're gonna build it up again, lower in the crease. This time it should be a little easier because on this layer we're much more worried about building up pigmentation. Since we blended out that first layer, blending out the second layer should be a little easier on us. I always tell people, go for blend and then pigmentation, not the other way around, because if it's extremely pigmented but not really blendable, it's gonna be hard to buff out. And baby, because we're lifting our brush but not covering that transition shade, it gives us a much more seamless blend where you can still see that lightest color peeking out on the outside, and then we can have that darker color that we put in there, and you can see how just adding that one more color gives us much more shape and definition than we have on this side. Baby, this is giving me Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vibes, and I'm loving it. So what we're gonna do is go in even deeper, even darker, and I wanna go for the Black Bonnie, And we're gonna take this on our smallest blending brush and we're gonna deepen up our outer V and our lower crease, but I won't take it all the way through. We're going to go in with just the tiniest amount of product. Ooh, baby, we gotta tap this off because I remember when Bonnie first came out, it was a shocker because this was the first black that they put in a palette. Before that, Dark Matter was their only black. Huge fan that she used to come in with the Dark Matter stack, but she was worth it. And because I want to just keep making show, because I don't want this black to take over this look, honey, we tapped off our product, and I'm going to take this and we're going to sweep this on the outer half of our outer V, because I want this part of the eye to be pitch black, like in the middle of a dark closet black, like midnight in a lonely city black. Like, I want this to be pigment. I almost dipped back in. I'm like, hold on, no, we have not dipped. We have not buffed all of this off yet to be worried about adding more. And I'm pressing this while rotating my brush because I want this outer end to be as dark as possible. We're going to clean that up with concealer anyway, so I'm not worried about this outer corner being pitch black right there. Trust me, she ain't going to stay that way. But once we got that all off, I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to point it into the socket, slowly start to buff her up. And we want to take this really slowly, because once we start to notice some of that color coming up, like you see that already, that's enough. We're going to take that there and then buff that throughout the entire crease. We don't want to drag all of that color from the outer V out, but I wanted that outer V to stay dark. And now that we have this buffed in, we'll take that and raise the brush just to diffuse that edge. But I wanted this color right here to be darker, but I did not want it to show up as completely black in the crease. But I wanted that black in the outer V, baby. This is where you're going to spend most of your time just trying to make sure you get that blend inside the actual crease. Because I want her to be dark, 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 baby. But I wanted this outer end to be pigmented black. So afterwards, we're going to go back in and build her up once more, because going in and buffing her out did diffuse that color. And I want this outer portion to be as dark as possible. Just press it in. And to help diffuse that line between that black and that green, we just take our brush and just slightly sweep backwards, moving our way up toward that green, but just barely. We still want that green to peek through. All right, we still on the race to finish up my NYX glitter primer, baby. She ain't done yet, but I'm trying. I am trying. So we're gonna get a little bit on the back of the hand. We need to cover our lids, and you know I still got my Morphe M421 brush, and we're gonna just take this, and I'm trying to see, do we need to do much? I think we're gonna keep her simple today because the colors is gonna speak for themselves. So we're gonna just load up our lid. You know, I like to get close to the lashes first because I will forget that spot. Then we're just gonna cut her up. Just gonna get her right into the socket, but we don't want to completely cover up that black, because that being that dark right there is gonna help our lid shade pop. And we're just gonna take this back to that green that we put down over the outer V. Because we still want some of that green to show up when we want to diffuse and blend out our lid shade. And she should be good from there. And although I know I like to go in with a lot of colors usually, we're gonna keep the lid simple today and go in with only one shade. This shade here, Goals, is the only green shimmer in the palette, so we're gonna use it to coat the entire lid. And because you know I love me a green, honey, I know she gonna be perfect. Like, oh wee. Like, look at how dark and grungy and beautiful that is, sis. I promise, greens do it for me the way purples do it for most people. Or like how neutrals always got that pop of blue, honey. I take a pop of green over a pop of blue any day, any day. And it's like, ooh wee, ma'am, look at the tone of that. just drop dead gorgeous. And then we're gonna take and slightly diffuse this back into that green color. We don't want it to go all the way to the black. We still want a bit of that green to peek through. Baby, I could never have my excitement with a green eyeshadow look. So we're just gonna cut away, finish off the face, and when I come back, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna finish off the lower lash line. All right, you guys, we are back, and I must say, I'm excited to tell you about some of the products I use off camera. Lately, I've been trying to test out new combinations, and a few of them I tried out for the first time today, and I am absolutely loving them. So, as with all tutorials, all tools and products will always be in the description bar below, but some of these I just gotta let y'all know about. First off, this lip combo, never tried it before, and I just been staring like, baby, she is gorgeous. Nude lips are my favorite. They are my favorite. And if a nude lipstick don't need a liner, she not light enough for me. So when Milk Cosmetics came out with some nude lipsticks, I only picked up one shade, and this is in the shade Zaddy. Baby, Zaddy gonna wanna know what's all over my lips because he gonna be all up on them as soon as you see him. Like, look at that pout, look at that color. She is a pale, pale nude. And I like this because they have, the bullet is even embossed. Let's see if I can get that for you all. She is gorgeous. The packaging is basic. The bullet is small. The color, fabulous. So I am liking that I picked this up. I'm debating whether I want to go in and get a red shade from them, but we're going to have to hold off on that. For the liner, oh, reliable. This is the lip bar straight up. I love this liner anytime I want definition but don't want to go deep, deep dark. This color is just enough, and she has a slightly reddy brown undertone, and I wanted that because I knew this was going to be a pinky lip. I usually find it undesirable to wear a pink lip liner. I just find they don't give me enough pigmentation, so usually a red or brown undertone one will do the trick. So this combo here, fabulous, fabulous, baby. For blush, never tried either product and was satisfied with both. Cream blush, Fenty Beauty cream blush. I have 3 of these. This is my first time trying any of them, and I wanted to pull out some Fenty products because you all may not know it, but one of the co-owners of Milk Cosmetics is Lorelai. Absolutely love her. She used to be Rihanna's full-time makeup artist, and so when she started the brand, there was no doubt about it. I knew I was going to support her 100%, and so I'm like, okay, take me back to some Fenty days. This is in the shade Strawberry Drip. I got her because she was the lightest pink shade at the time. I knew for sure I love pinky blushes, but wasn't sure about cream blushes. And I really do like this formula. The thing is, you can see how small she is. Like, she's small. My brush does fit in there, but I really wish this had a little more wiggle room, a little more product, because it says it's only 3 grams. She's beautiful, and for me, because I don't go through products often, I'm usually rotating, I think this would be a beautiful size for the minis, but I really think they should take the full sizes up to the sizes of their bronzers, but I love her. And to top her off, this blush is beautiful. The thing is, she was never meant for my complexion. I knew that, but I had to have them all. Juvia's Place makes my favorite individual blush, so anytime they come out with blushes, I am on them. I have all 6 of their blush duos. This is my first time testing out number 3, and look at this. There was never a day or time where I should be wearing this, but I had to have them. That bold, vivid, deep color, I know. This was probably the only one that did not come to Ulta. I think it was also one of the first ones to sell out. The best one for deep complexions, and she's fabulous. I had already put on cream blush, but I'm like, after my baking powder, she was sort of too subtle. I took my blush brush and literally, because I want to keep this close, tapped it one time into this shade here, the more pinky purple. I'm telling you, I took in one single oop, and seeing that color and was like, I'm gonna look like somebody punched me. So I took and did one quick Oop, oop, and then swirled the rest on the back of my hand to get all the rest of that product off, and then went and buffed her out, because otherwise it would have been way too much. I don't care what your skills are, baby. Go slow, and if you can avoid it, this is best for deep and dark skin complexions. I have tan skin. Because I got skills, I was willing to test her out, and I love her, and just to say I used her, now I can actually say that. But baby, don't try that again. For what else is new? I don't think anything else is new, but this is my second time testing out this combo for foundation concealer, and my last tutorial for the coffee shop by Juvia's Place. I'll leave that link right here above. Baby, finally tested out this combo, which is the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation in the shade Tahoe. I wear Tahoe in all their foundations. That was never a question. The thing is, I'm so used to wearing Sheer Glow. I got a bottle of it right here. I got a sample of it that I keep to travel with me in here. I got a backup of Sheer Glow in my cabinet over there, so I'm never gonna be without her. But I love collecting NARS complexion products. And I remember trying her out one day and was like, she don't got enough coverage for what I want to do today. Put her on the shelf and never grabbed her again. Now that I don't go out as often, my skin is a lot clearer. She is fabulous. She is fabulous. To me, she's sort of like Sheer Glow. I would say Sheer Glow is full coverage with a natural to matte finish. Even though they call it Sheer Glow, it has a sheer amount of glow. With their new complete soft matte, she's full coverage and definitely matte. To me, this one is medium coverage, can be built up to full coverage, and she's probably around there like Sheer Glow, like natural to matte formula. But I'm like, on those days where I don't need full coverage, I'm not worried about trying to cover no beard, no acne scars or anything, she's the one. On those days I want a little bit more, I can go in with that Sheer Glow. But for concealer, I remember I told y'all in that last video I had never tried it before. Now I can confidently say this is my second time. The Juvia's Place concealer in the shade 18. I'm mad at myself for never have tested her out until this week, because she is gorgeous. Like on camera, she's beautiful. In person, she's beautiful. You get a lot of product. She builds, she blends. It's like she's everything you want to conceal. Oh, I don't know how I got that messed up. She's everything you would want in a concealer. I think because I was looking down at this one, like, how would you compare these two? This is the Sephora one. I know I have a video up for her, but the Sephora one is definitely more full coverage, more matte. To me, she's like a, I would say a more matte version of the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, because that's what I usually like. But I have her. We're gonna keep using her, put her to the side. Is there anything else before I need to move on? Normal primer. Oh, eyeliner for the lower lash line. Since I always do greens, I'm like, Torrence, for this green look, let's do black. But everybody knows what perversion looks like. Let's pull this one out. This is the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade 0. And to me, if you were to pick them both up, you'd be like, okay, what's the difference? They both look black. Ooh, about to drop them, baby. The thing is, in my opinion, Perversion is a deep, dark, matte black. 0 is a, I would say, a soft, dark black satin. Oh, I don't know why that came out like that. I would say a soft satin dark black. She's not as dark as Perversion. She's not as matte as Perversion. And she's not as pigmented. So if you're the type of person who's scared of a black eyeliner but still want to try them, I think 0 may be the one for you. And I just wanted to test her out just to say that I used her today, because I'm like, I never use her. So we got her on the shelf there. Gotta put her back. And it's like anything. Oh, I don't know how I forgot, because I got over here on the side. Face highlighter. I did a video for this, and I'll make sure I leave it right here because I still have the same opinions on it. This is the Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 3. Although she is sold out, I wanted to test out the Center 4 shades a little bit more because I love me a good highlighter. And because this look was green, I'm like, Torrence, let's go in with a green toned highlighter. I'm wearing this shade here, Spring Equinox. In my tutorial, I used her as a transition shade for the eyeshadow look. And I can honestly say, I don't care what they market those palettes as, I'm going to use them as eyeshadows because that's where I get the best looks from. And today I tried to use that green as a highlighter. I'm not sure if she's going to show up on camera, but you can see that blush is showing through. And I think that highlighter is because she has a slight green flip to her. The problem is on the eyes, she sparkles, she shines, she's beautiful. As a face highlighter right there on the nose, I'm seeing her, but everywhere else, she's giving me more green reflex than she is green shine. So I don't see me using this as a face highlighter again, unless I top her off with something else. But it's like, if I already went in with a shiny highlighter, I can use that. And if I wanted a shiny green highlighter, I have other ones that I can use. So it's like, yeah, don't see me pulling her out again. We're gonna put her to the side. But we've been talking, baby. We've been talking. And I need to go ahead and get this video done because I'm looking back like, what else do we got to do, Torrence? Lower lash line. So let's get back into it. And on the top, we went really dramatic, but I find that on the lower lash line, colors seem to show up just a little bit darker. So I like to go a little bit softer. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna go in with most of the same shades. We're gonna start off with a larger pencil brush. This shade here, Mochi, we're gonna buff that out. Then we're going to go into a smaller pencil brush. This shade here, Fire OG, deepen things up. And then to give me that last little bit of smoke, we're going to take a push liner brush and this shade here, Leo. I don't want to take the black on the lower lash line because we already have a black eyeliner. We have black lashes, so black isn't necessary in this look. And I find it's best to build than to have to worry about blending. So I'm going to knock off my excess product and we're going to start on the outer end. I want to try to connect this up to that black area and we're just going to buff this in. This first color is just a transition shade, so as long as she barely shows up, she'll do her job. And we want to buff this back and forth, being extra careful. With this being a green shade, you already know if you put that in the wrong spot, it can have you looking really sick and tired. And I want to go in with one more layer just because I know I was being careful and knock that off because I want this green to pop, honey. Greens are my favorite, so I can never have enough. And we're just going to leave it right there. And with our smaller pencil brush, we're going to definitely tap this off because we already know this shade Fire OG is pigmented. So we're going to start on the outer end. Be extra careful and extra slow and push her through. And baby, this one layer, this may give us all the pigmentation we need for this lower lash line because this color is popping. I have really tiny eyes, so sometimes I do have to go in twice. But it looks like with this color, I may not have to. Ooh! Do you see the smoke on this side? And for this last shade, Leo, I'm gonna just barely tap my brush off. The thing is, this push liner brush is so tiny, I may have to go in several times just to get the full under eye done, but I don't mind it. The thing is, you got to be extra careful and get as close to those lashes as you can so you don't mess nothing up. And we're gonna get right underneath there and start pushing closer. And just make sure that color is right underneath the lashes. I'm gonna go back in and dip. I personally recommend starting from the back and working your way to the front because I'm confident with my finger placement and me holding this brush still. I don't mind starting from the front, but I wouldn't recommend it on your first attempt. I just want to make sure all of this is connected here, and baby, she's so dark and beautiful, I can't stand it. Last step for eyes, my favorite part. Highlighted my inner corner and my brows. And we're going to use the same shade for both. We're going to go down to this shimmery shade here, Gemini, the namesake of the palette, and we're going to use this to highlight both areas. I'm going to do inner corner first because I want most shine and most of my color to be right there. Yeah, no lie, I'm having difficulty picking up Gemini with my brush. And now we're just going to get you all in view so we can press this down. I'm going to take this color and try to pack her on. starting to see the color come through, but she's not giving what I was hoping for. I'll try to pick up some more. She's definitely buildable, but that first layer, like, okay, yeah, you see, that's what she looked like with 2 layers. And this is what she looks like without any. So it's like, she's cute and all, but to have to work that hard to get this little bit of shine, yeah, I'm not sure about that. And I decided to dip my brush back in for my brow bone highlight. We're just gonna take this, place it right at the arch and sweep it back. And I'm pressing in rather hard just to make sure that product adheres. Get some of that off here. Then we can buff it out. See if you all can see that on camera because she's gorgeous in person. Don't see it showing up on camera the way I want. Yeah, it's definitely prettier in person than it is on camera. Alright you guys, this is all we're going to do for the face, but there's no point of putting in all this work if we're not going to lock it in. So make sure you grab your setting sprays because you know I'm about to grab mine. Fix Plus to give us the glowy do. All-nighter so things will last all day. Cheap fan, expensive breeze, good times. I'm going to give this a few more moments to try and I'll be back to give you all my final thoughts. And here's the final look. I want to go ahead, give you all a full face view of things before I give you all my final thoughts. And I'm here to tell you all, honey, of course I recommend this palette. It's one of my all-time favorites, honey. I absolutely love this palette. I absolutely love Melt Cosmetics. Like, when I told you I like greens, honey, did you think a green palette that could pull off a look like this would not make the cut? Like, look at her. This is a grungy green lover's dream. Like, oh my goodness. To know I reached into a palette, I was able to play with my favorite colors, get everything done, and then afterwards, I still got a ton of neutrals I never touched. If for some reason I wanted to wear this same palette to a work meeting, I could. Like, come on, honey, this is giving She-Hulk vibes. Like, baby. It's just, there's nothing you can tell me about a green eyeshadow look. The thing is, do I like her? Yes. Do I recommend her? Yes. But unless you create a palette yourself, chances are she's not going to be perfect, and everything has its pros and cons. And I'm going to keep it honest with y'all because y'all my people. So let's go ahead and get into it. First off, pro. This gorgeous packaging, look at her, honey. She is truly an upgrade from the original, even though I loved the original. I believe the first one came out in May of 2018. Right here. I bought her on the first launch. I bought every palette they've had since then, except those new 4 Zodiac ones. I can't afford those just yet. But when I tell you, this palette has seen so many nightclubs, so many dates, it just does not make sense. And I remember being able to get another one, use that one, dropped her, she shattered. I think I also dropped all my stacks. That's why if I ever do a video showing y'all my melt stacks, you're gonna see some of them is crushed up and repressed, some of them look brand new. That was a hard day today I was cleaning, but we getting off track. The thing is, here's the original, baby. Absolutely fabulous. I used to love her. This is what the packaging looked like. Although she had that gold there, the flowers were just demure. They were dark, they were basic. So to me, same size. If you had one in a certain place, you could fit the other one there. So that's gorgeous. They still have that same gorgeous mirror. But what they took it to the next level with to make another pro, This one here is magnetic. The original, they were glued in, they were there. It was just that. If you wanted to travel with that palette, that's all you had to do was travel with that palette. But she was such a rare and loved commodity that I refused to. With this one now, I could be sitting back and say, you know what? I like that shade Luna right there. Put my magnet right there and bam. Now Luna can come with me. She doesn't have to stay in the palette. So not only could I just take this one shade with me, create a custom palette or something like that, I could rearrange these shades if I wanted it. Let's say you don't like greens, but you have another palette from there and you just want to create your own custom neutral palette, you could do so. The thing is, as much as I love Melt, as much as I love Lorelei, I can't lie to my people phone. So, the cons. You only get 2 shimmers in here, and as someone who generally prefers mattes, I don't mind that. The problem is, this shimmer here, Gemini, I don't like her. I don't like her. Y'all saw when I was trying to highlight my inner corner highlight, it took 2 different layers to get just the smallest amount of shine, and it's like, she's there. But to know I had to go in 2 layers to do that, it was like, And for you to only give me 2 shimmers and one of them not be the greatest, it's like, okay. And honestly, when I think about it, I don't recall her being the greatest in the last palette because I'm looking at her. I think the main reason why I didn't use her before was she was a little too soft and too crumbly. Now I feel as if she may be a little too hard pressed and not crumbly enough. And so it's like, okay, any other con I could think of? Oh, one last con. To me, once everything is on the eye, I think you'll be good and I think you'll be happy. But if you are someone who pays attention to the closest, most minute differences, you may feel like I do and be sitting back looking at these 2 palettes and going, Torrence, some of these shades look just a little different than their counterparts. And I understand that my original palette that I have here is working on this way to being 5 years old, but it's like some of these shades in the original just come off as a little darker or maybe a little more warm. And I want to show y'all the 2 palettes side by side. I want to see if there's a way I can cover this mirror. And I have them side by side. The old one is on top, the new one is on bottom. And it could just be me, but it seems like these shades have just the most minute differences. Especially if you pay attention to the first shade, Luna, you'll notice on top she looks a little darker. That very last shade, Mochi, on top she looks a little more vivid. And what is the next shade I was looking at? That third shade, what is she called? I think that's Lorelei. You can look at her and see on top she looks just a little more orange to her. And it's like, it could just be me, but they look like they are just the slightest bit different. But once again, once she's on the eye, I don't think that's something that anybody would recognize or notice. And I want to see, actually right now while we're here, I want to get some swatches. Like the older one is really, really soft pressed. This newer one seems like she's a little more hard pressed, but I want to show you all this. Like this shade here is Mochi from the old palette, and this is Mochi from the new palette. And when you look at them up close, you can see it's barely a difference, but you can see that old one, she gives off much more pigmentation because she was so much softer pressed that you got a lot more kick up, and that is an improvement in this new palette too. It seems like they pressed it harder so you get less kick up. And just because we're here, I want to do swatches of the old Luna versus the new Luna as well. And when I tell you, the older formula was way softer on the finger, but it had way more kick up, because I want to see if I can show you before I swatch them. This finger here is the old Luna, this one here is the new Luna, and I want you all to see if you can see how much product and powder is on the fingers, but you can already see that crack going on the ring finger with the old formula. because it picks up a lot more. And when you try to do the swatch on the hand again, this is Old Luna here. And it's a chunk of powder right there sitting on top. I'm not sure if my camera's gonna pick that up. But when you come in with New Luna right here on the side of her, let me make sure I get that. You can see it's just the slightest hue to them. It's not something that once on the eye anybody would notice. And like I said, it could simply be because my original palette is old, so the colors have been, you know, changed a little bit. But if you were to tell me, Torrence, they changed the formula a little bit because the pigments were out, I would be okay with that, because to me, the new one performs better than the old one. It's just, how can I put it? When you fall in love with something, you usually expect it to be exactly the way it is every time you come back. So to come back and see that these colors look just slightly different was something that caught my eye, because once again, this used to be my favorite palette. So it's something I recognized instantly, like, wait, those shades look just a little different than before. To me, if you've never had the palette, I don't think you would notice the difference. If you did have it and you loved her, if she was your favorites like mine, I think you would catch on to it, but it would not change anything. You would still be able to pull off the same looks you used to. You would still be able to get the same desired effects. And if you're someone who's never tested out the formula, I think you're really gonna appreciate the fact that they seem to have upgraded everything. They upgraded the packaging, they upgraded them to removable pans, they've pressed them harder so you get less kick up. The only thing I'm not a fan of is that shade Gemini. I believe if you use her with a finger, she'll be beautiful. I'm somebody who doesn't like that. You know, I prefer a brush, maybe a silicone applicator if need be, but I wasn't gonna use a large silicone applicator just to put on a brow bone highlight and an inner corner highlight. Maybe if I test her out again on the lid, I can see, but it's nothing else. It's just, I'm sitting here looking at these like, Torrence, I'm hoping it's because my palette is old that these are changed, but according to meltcosmetics, they say it's the same palette, same formula we know and love, and I just wanted to make sure you all are, you know, getting my full 100% honest opinion each and every time. And I just almost clapped and did my hands like this and almost forget. Baby, I still got swatches right here, so give me 1 second to just remove those. All right, you guys, we are back, and it feels like we can go ahead and wrap things up because I've been babbling over and over about, yes, I do recommend this palette. No, I do not like the shade Gemini. Yes, I do feel as if there is something slightly different with the palette because the shades look a little different, but I am comparing it to a palette that is 5 years old. So I say if you want her, go ahead and grab her. If you absolutely love meltcosmetics formula and you love greens and neutrals, I say pick her up on full price. But the thing is, ever since she's launched, I've seen meltcosmetics and Sephora have sales where you can pick them up. So chances are, if you can get her on a discount, I would recommend picking up any and all makeup at a discount. But considering I believe these are either $58 or $68, that may be even more reason to grab her. But me, I love her. I picked her up at full price every time I got her. I believe when I got this, she did come at a discount with number 2, which is right here. And because I already added her to my next rotation, she will be the next tutorial. So I am going, you know, spill the beans and let y'all know you're getting this one first. She will be the very next one because, baby, I'm not a big fan of pinky rosy tones. I love pink blush. I love pink lips, but pink eyeshadow, I'd be like. So we're going to be testing her out in the next palette. I mean, the next tutorial. And you see she got some greens on the end. So she going to spark my attention. But is the formula good? I don't know because she's brand new. But we don't want to keep talking because I got a live video coming up in an hour. And I still want to clean all of this up. So I hope you all truly did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also, leave me a comment down below if you all either A, have already picked up this palette, or B, have intentions on picking it up, because I do believe over Black Friday, they will have a special going on where I think you can pick up both Gemini and Gemini 2 for like somewhere between $50 and $70 for the set, when normally it's like $58 individually. So I recommend picking her up then. But I need to clean up. I need to take pictures because baby, she gorgeous. She's gorgeous. And there's nothing else left to say. So I hope you all remember to practice, continue to stay blessed, and until next time, goodbye YouTube.